okay. And interestingly enough, every time I use a new microphone, I say, how's the microphone? And then people say, oh, it's awesome. And then like a dozen people say, yeah, it's much better than the old one. And then five other people chime and say, oh, this one's worse than the old one. I can never get, it's always, doesn't matter. Every time I switch a mic, it's like, it's great. No, it's worse. Like, oh, God, okay. Thanks for helping on that one. Seriously, though, it's true. Fujifilm. Everybody keeps, and I've answered this question multiple times, but there's a different way to answer it. Full frame, Fujifilm. Why don't you have a full frame camera? I've made countless videos in the past that are hyperlogical. Fuji would be absolutely insane in the extreme to even think of competing with Nikon, Canon, and Sony in the full frame market. It is oversaturation. Do you know that word? Oversaturation. Oversaturation. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's competing on a front where, no, I think you understand that, right? Well, there's point number one. Point number two, it's like, where are all those people's medium format cameras? Fujifilm has come out overnight, shoop, with a medium format camera that uses the same sensor, by the way, yet has far superior output because the camera is not a sensor, than the Pentax Z, than the Mamiya Leaf, which costs a lot more money. Also, too, you could use the GFX. It's like, well, that's a really expensive camera, $6,500. Well, relatively speaking. Well, here's the answer. And this may not be the answer you're looking for, but it is the ingenious answer that people will come to realization thereof. And there have been rumors on like mirrorlessforums.com. How certain am I of this? Well, I'm about 98% certain. Well, maybe 99% certain that Fujifilm Fujifilm will announce it this year or possibly the beginning of next year, because the GFX, Fujifilm had already indicated that the GFX lenses are capable of resolving 100 megapixels, so everybody knows, it's a well-established fact, that the GFX will be announced later this year or next year, that there'll be a 100 megapixel version of the GFX. I mean, that's not really a shocker to anybody. But the more than amply super wonderful output of the 51 megapixel Fujifilm medium format sensor, which is a 645 sensor essentially, will be going into a budget, and by budget we mean relatively inexpensive, X Pro form factor camera. Now, this helps Fujifilm do two things, kill two birds with one stone, and nobody has talked about this. We know that Fujifilm is coming out with a 100 megapixel upgrade to the GFX. We know for a fact with 98% certainty that Fujifilm is going to come out with an inexpensive, say $4,000 to $4,500, possibly even $3,800. I doubt it will be that cheap, but it could easily be in the $3,800 to $4,500 range, which is considerably cheaper than the GFX. And Fujifilm used to make a film version of a camera that looked like this. It just looks like a really large version of the X Pro 2. Okay? But inexpensive. Two birds with one stone. First stone that Fujifilm kills the birds with. It's an old saying, kill two birds with one stone. The first stone that they kill is, first bird that they kill, excuse me, is that they're not in the full-frame oversaturated market of Nikon, Canon, and Sony. It's like, well, here's our camera. It's $4,000. I'm only guessing at the price. Okay, $3,800 or $40,000. Well, here's our full-frame camera, except it's much better than a full-frame camera. No denying it. Here's a rangefinder, a digital rangefinder camera that is inexpensive. For medium format, will be really, the GFX, already at $6,500, which I know is a lot of money. In medium format, it's actually really damn cheap. Fujifilm would say, here's our full-frame camera, and it's very inexpensive. It's not much more expensive than a Nikon D850, for example. Obviously, it's not for sports action wildlife. I mean, no medium format is made for that, but for hardcore portraiture, the wedding, all the stuff that the GFX is used for. Look, here it is. It's inexpensive. It's 51 megapixels, medium format. Wow. Holy hell. That's the first one. They're not dealing in an oversaturated market. Number two, they've given you an example of something that is full frame except far, far, far better. It's a medium format and a camera that's actually smaller, will definitely be smaller, than a Nikon D850. Well, it actually should be around about the same size. Definitely smaller than the GFX. I don't think there'll be a vertical grip for that. They want to reserve the vertical gripped department for the GFX, to be certain. How certain am I in that? That's pure speculation on my part, but to be certain, just like the X Pro 2, it's not going to have a vertical grip option. But that's fine. It's made for, I mean, the notion of budget digital medium format, I mean, just like 4, 5, 6, I mean, it's like, that's ridiculous. I mean, this is the, you know how much a Phase 1 camera costs? Do you have any idea? You know, twice as much as a good brand new car, twice as much, really, yeah, definitely. Not to mention the lenses. You know, something that is 5 to 10% more expensive than a Nikon D810, except it's a medium format, but still easily $2,000, $2,500 less than the GFX. So, what will happen is that the 50 megapixel sensor will be migrated into the cheap digital rangefinder X Pro looking Fujifilm camera, and then the GFX will get that next step up and to the 100 megapixel. Same format size, obviously, because we're going to use the same lenses, because it's ridiculous if anybody out there were under the delusion that Fujifilm, who unquestionably dumped an enormous amount of research and development in producing, you know how expensive it is to come out with a new lens line? It's not like you're just coming out with something new like a camera. It's like, no, you're coming out with a whole damn new lens line. Fujifilm currently have all the Fujifilm GFX lenses except for the 45mm, which I don't know if I want or not that it's not excellent. Really expensive to produce a new lens line. Really, really expensive. They dumped a ton of R&D, not only into that camera, but also into, really, more so actually, into the lenses. A lot of money. And if you thought all that new lens line would be for one camera, this is not 100% certainty, not speculation at all, but 1,000, absolute 1,000% certainty. Fujifilm did not develop a super expensive lens line, the GF lenses, for one bloody camera. Awesome camera that it is. No. That's stupid. It's unimaginable. It's utterly impossible and implausible. Fujifilm has and does have, from the get-go and currently, who knows when they'll roll it out, probably announce it later this year, but I'm only speculating on that, but there will be another medium format camera. And it will be a budget version of the GFX, and from all estimations it will look like one of Fujifilm's old medium format film cameras, which looks like a large X Pro camera. So that is the two birds with one stone that Fujifilm will be, you know, saying, hey, Sony, Nikon, Canon, you guys don't have any of this. You can't compete with us on this. You know, you out there, you keep destroying yourselves with full-frame camera. Nikon comes out with a full-frame camera. If Sony comes out, Nikon, Sony, and then Canon's over here picking its nose right now. Because even Canon's suffering in the oversaturated full-frame market, and Fujifilm, excuse me, well, they're not flipping the bird, but they kind of are. It's like, you know, what are you going to do? Here's an inexpensive medium format camera that blows all the full frame stuff away, and it's inexpensive. For a medium format, it would be really inexpensive. $3,800 to $4,500 range, that's cheap. That is Fujifilm's plans. How much of what I just said is speculation? About 30% of it. I am 1,000% certain, however, that Fujifilm did not develop a new lens line, the GF line, for one camera only. Or one camera and its upgraded 100 megapixel version. No way in hell. That's not even possible. It's implausible in the extreme. Way too much money of R&D and development went into the manufacture. Nobody's talking about this. No one's made a video on this. Not any of the mirrorless ones. That's a fact. That's a hardcore fact. And that second camera line for that new series of lenses is that budget inexpensive medium format, which is the answer, but the superior answer to the full frame wars. Just imagine it, you know, something as small as a D850, not that the D850 is all that super small. No medium format camera is small. Something as small as a D850 or a hair smaller that's got a huge medium format sensor in it. That, by the way, since it's a focal plane shutter too, you can buy a cheap bleeping adapter and stick a bunch of your current existing lenses on it, which I do currently with my GFX. That's awesome. It's like, well, the GF lenses are pretty expensive. Well, medium format lenses are really expensive anyway, but Fujifilm's got the best, and compared to Mamiya and Pentax, Fujifilm's medium format lenses are really cheap. Everybody says, well, the GFX medium format stuff's expensive. It's like, yeah, hello? Compared to what? In the realm of medium format, all of the cameras and the lenses, everything else is up here in orbit, price-wise. And the Fujifilm stuff is down here. And the news is that Fujifilm is going to come out with something much less expensive than that. And that is the boot on the neck of the full frame wars. Undoubtedly it is. That is the Sun Tzu strategy a la Fujifilm. To transcend and hover over the battlefield that is Sony, Nikon, and Canon. You know, one full frame after another. Mine's better than yours. I got a new camera. You know, to hell with that. Let's just glide right over it with a medium format, inexpensive camera. And that is Fujifilm's answer. And it is a brilliant answer. If you were to get 100 people together of the smartest minds at Fuji or any other company, they couldn't develop a better strategy than that. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. It's undeniably brilliant. Deny it, you cannot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I could drop this little pearl of wisdom upon you. I hope you have a wonderful week. And don't be like me. I know people think I sit behind this desk all the time just make videos. I've been out today testing a new lens that I got. You know, I don't like to video sitting behind this desk. You know, I do like answering emails. That sometimes the phone calls are too much. I had 20 phone calls today. I mean, I barely found time to go to the bathroom and eat. Of course, I should be starving myself since I'm so fat, right? But sometimes too many phone calls is too many phone calls. Whew. Especially when they're middle of the night and they just go on and on and on. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go sleep now. It's like, oh, yeah, I just want to ask you a few more questions. They're like, yeah. Bye. Bye. I gotta turn off my fire here because I don't want it to cause a fire in the middle of the night. There we go. Here we go. Turn off the fireplace. There we go. Good night.